Hi everyone, Rad Drew here. I've always enjoyed black and white photography, but in the last couple of weeks or maybe month or so, I've been exploring creating black and white again, and I've just really reignited my passion for this kind of photography. And I've been doing a lot of it, or most of it, in fact, with my new iPhone 12 Pro Max. And I've been reacquainted with a few old favorite apps that have helped me create some really, what I think are really interesting things. And I've had so much fun doing it. The image that you're looking at right now, I wanted to share a little bit with you about how I did this. It's not the world's greatest photograph or anything, but the process I found really fascinating. So here's what I did with this. That's my wife Nancy, and I had her take her phone and turn on the flashlight, and she has it tucked under her right arm, and the light is pointing against the wall. And then I stood a few feet away, and I photographed her with that light illuminating, kind of backlighting her. So if we look at the original photo, I believe it's this one. Yeah, it's this one right here. So you can see I did a lot of work to change it into what it is, but that was the original, and you can see the light there, shining there behind her. And it's just a really interesting technique. My friend Robin Robertus, who many of you know, is just a remarkably creative photographer, and she's become enamored with TikTok. And this was, she sent me a link to a TikTok video the other day that showed a young kid demonstrating this technique. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So I gave it a shot. So how did I turn this image from that into that? Well, that's the part of what I want to show you today that I thought was really fun. So where I started, I went out and I grabbed that original image. And let me just do that. Oh, I'm playing with my own self-portrait there too. Let's grab this one right here. That's the image. And I'm going to copy it. And it's on the clipboard now. And I'm going to go to Snapseed. It's not in my tray, so I'll type it in. There it is. I'm going to hold my finger on it and paste the image into Snapseed. And I've already got an image in there. And I'm going to say, that's okay. Open this new one. And so there's my image, and I'm going to start with just a few little edits here. So I'll go into Tune Image, and I'm going to, I always like to play with ambiance first and see how it affects the image. What I'm looking for is a really harsh silhouette here. So probably just a little bit of ambiance, and then I'm going to go down to my highlights, and if I drop those down, I want to see what happens with that light behind her. I want to keep it fairly bright, but if I go the other way, it's brightening it more than I want. So I'm going to probably drop it down just a little bit. And I'm looking very carefully at her silhouette and the glasses she's wearing and that sort of thing. The next thing I'm going to do is go down to shadows, and I'm going to drop my shadows down just a little there. And so something like that. And I'll commit to that. And then I'm going to go into my my tools here, and I'm going to, let's see, I think the next thing I did was a crop. So I grabbed my crop tool here, and I'm thinking I maybe brought it up a little bit and down a little bit, maybe something like that. So there's our image now, and I'm going to go ahead and export that, save as copy. And the next thing I want to do is take it into an old favorite that has really come back into my sphere lately. It's called Dramatic Black and White, and it is an app produced by a company called Jixi Pix. Looks like that right there. It's got an elephant on the cover. It works on both iPhone and Android, and even though it's been around for ages, it's a really sophisticated tool for almost sculpting light. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to go down here and hit the Get Photo button at the very bottom with the camera icon. And I'm going to go grab this image. There it is. And it's going to pop it. And you notice it applies a filter already to the image. What I'm going to do, though, is go down here to the star, and I'm going to scroll over here. And there's a particular one I'm looking for that has that one right there. And it's got these two spotlights. And what's cool about this is that I can take these spotlights, highlight them, and then you see how the perimeter of the image, the vignette is changing as I change the size of the spotlight. So I'm going to move it around a little bit and kind of get it kind of where I want it. And then if I want, and I may just try this, I can go over to the spotlight icon on the very end here, and I can add another spotlight. So there's my third spotlight now, and I'm going to bring it down, and now I can kind of decide how I want that to be affected, and I can maybe bring this in closer so that that silhouette is darker on the outer edge, but I'm really highlighting the silhouette or the light, the backlight around her body. So I'm going to bring that in a little bit, bring that up. So there's our image. I love that shadow playing behind her in the back, so I might want to expand this a little bit to allow more light to hit, to let that shadow play more. And if I tap on the screen, I'm just toggling back and forth by tapping. I can turn it off and see what's going on without those. And then I can go into the sliders here, the bulleted list here icon in the center. And there's several things I can do. I could choose a color here and change the tone. I think I'm just going to leave it straight black, but if I wanted to change the tone, I would tap on this little colored square here, and it gives me a color picker that I can choose whatever shade I want. The other thing that it lets you do here is you can sharpen things quite a bit with the sharpen slider, and at the other end of the continuum is a beautiful softening tool, which I love the ambiance that softening gives the image. And then finally, you've got a slider here that lets you control the brightness of the image. And sometimes, in this case, what I want to do, I'm going to drop the contrast a little bit, and I still want to have the black really coming through. So I might drop the brighten a little bit, and now I've got a really nice dark silhouette, and I feel like my contrast is probably pretty good, and I'm going to soften it just a tiny bit more. So something like that. I'm going to go back in here. I'm not real happy with how this is playing, so I'm going to move that in a little bit, and then I'm going to get that one and move it a little bit too. So now it's a little bit more. I want to get her hat highlighted a little bit. See how just moving that, if I move it away, the hat gets dark. If I move it up, it kind of lightens the hat just a little bit. And then I might take this and bring it up like that. Anyway, you get the idea. You can play with this and really sculpt the light around this image. I'm going to go ahead and accept that. So I'm going to go to the home button here and then choose save. And there's the save right there. And now I've got the image. Let's go take a look at it in the camera roll. So there's our image now, and there's some areas here that I want to affect a little bit. Oh, I know what I forgot. Let's go back. I forgot one important thing here. The other thing you can do is add a texture to this, and I want to do that. So I'm going to go to this icon right here, and first of all, I can also play with these the red, green, blue sliders, and I can affect a little bit about how that light plays. It's not so much affecting this image, but it can on many affect quite a bit. You can also back off the black and white, but since we brought a black and white image in, it's going to stay that way. But here's what I want to do. I want to go and get this texture, number 6 here. And if I bring this texture up, look at how it's brought that, given that texture to the back of the wall. I love that. But what I don't like is that the texture is on her. I want to take the texture off of the silhouette part. There is no masking feature in this tool. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this image, and we're going to use another tool that will let us mask that. So what I'm going to do is go to, let me see here, if I still have it open maybe. Nope. Okay, sorry. It's called Image Blender. Many of you know this image app. It's been around for ages. And here's the interface. And you have down at the bottom here, you have the opportunity to add a foreground and a background. And on the left, I'm going to go out and get, let me think about this. I got to do this right. I'm going to get the photo, albums. There's the one. That's the one that's got her with the texture, and you can see the texture on her. Then I'm going to go get the one before we added the text, that one. All right, so you can see where this can get a little bit confusing. Okay, so what I want to do is go back to here. I want to remove that image, and I want to go get the one that we did right before. I could swear it was this one. Yes. Okay, so now on the right, you see the slider here. I can slide between these two images. The one on the left is the one with the texture in it. The one on the right is the one without the texture. So what I want to do, I actually need to flip these because right now the textured image is in the background. And I want to switch them. So I'm going to go up here to the ellipsis up here, and I'm going to switch these two images. So now there's on the left is the one without the texture, and there on the right is the one with the texture. So what I'm going to do now, up at the top you'll see a pencil up there. That's actually a masking tool. So I'm going to tap on that, and then down below we're now in the masking mode. And if I go and play with these sliders, I can back off that top layer, or I can back off the bottom layer. And what I want to do is begin to, I want to choose the soft edge brush here, and I want to begin to wipe away that texture on the silhouette. To do that, I'm going to tap the little pencil to go into the erase mode. And you can see now that I don't know if you can see that very well because I'm wiping it away. So in order to see it better, I'm going to drop the opacity. So now I can see where I'm wiping away, and I'm just using my finger. I might use a stylus for this too, just to get a little more accurate. I'm going really fast, but you can be very precise by zooming in and everything. I'm just kind of going quickly here, but I want to make sure I get all of her hat and all of her silhouette. So I'm going around here and doing all this, and again I'm just kind of going quickly. Not quickly enough, probably. Okay, so go down here and get all of this. And by the way, if you make a mistake, oops, I didn't mean to do that, you just turn your brush over, and then you can come back and paint that area in. So the up is to erase the top layer, and down is to erase anything that put it back. So like right here where I got outside the lines, I can come in here and kind of put that back. So there's what we've got now, and I'm going to go ahead, let's see, I'm going to make sure I get all of her out of there. So now that looks pretty good. I'm going to save that, and now if I go back, there's the image on the left without any texture, and there's the image on the right now with the texture but not on her. So now I'm going to go ahead and save that to the camera roll. And the last thing I'm going to do here, I am going to go into, I'm going to grab the image right here, I'm going to copy it again, and I'm going to take it into Snapseed, paste it there, and now I do want to just play a little bit with the highlights, and I've noticed there's some highlights like in the silhouette that I kind of like, and I want to see if I can bring them back a little bit. I don't know if I'll be able to or not. Yeah, a little bit. See how they're coming up a little. Now I don't want them throughout the area, but I like this little bit of light on her shirt and a little bit of light in her hair in the back. So what I'm going to do is I've raised the shadows up by 38%. I'm going to go ahead and commit to that whole change. And now I'm going to go up here to the history icon up at the top. It's that little two little squares with an arrow over it. I'm going to tap on that and choose View My Edits. And here's the history of these edits. And I'm going to choose Tune Image. and I'm going to go for the brush in the center, which is the masking tool. And what I want to do here, I want to mask in that adjustment that I just made. So basically I want to tell Snapseed where I want that lifted shadow to be. So for this, I'm going to turn off, if I leave the little blue icon down here on the eyeball, I can see where I'm going, but I don't really need that here. I'm going to erase that, and I'm going to turn the eyeball off, and I'm going to come in here where see where the light is? See how I'm just kind of painting in the light on her shirt? And I don't want it to be real gray around her there, but I like that little area of that little fleck of light, and maybe even up here under her, at the front of her chin there. And I'm going to now I want to take some of that gray out, so I'm going to drop my 100% value down to 0, and I'm going to come in here and just kind of blacken the area around that light area. And then the other place I want to do this, there's a little bit of light back here on her hair. I'm not sure if that's going to work or not, but I'm going to play with it. Might drop it down, and oops, there we go. And I'm going to paint that back, and so I'm just kind of giving a little bit of highlight to that area in the back, something like that. I want to make sure her hat's good, and that's it. And I'm going to go ahead and commit to that change. And the last thing that I'm going to do in here, something I often do in Snapseed with certain images, I'm going to go in and choose Glamour Glow. Where are you? There you are. And I'm going to choose Glamour Glow, and it's brought it in at, there's one at 100%, there's one at 50, and I think I'm going to drop the 50% Glamour Glow down to about 25%. And so there's before the Glamour Glow, and there's after. It's just a little bit of a soft glow. I'm going to export that, save a copy, and there is our image. So again, we've gone from that original that looked like that to that. And I love the texture behind the wall. We could have played with this light here and brought it down a little bit in Snapseed, but I'm okay with it the way it is. Anyway, that's it. It's just so much fun doing this. So the apps I used were the native camera to take the photograph with her holding the light against the wall, and then I used Snapseed a little bit. Then I took it into dramatic black and white to sculpt the light and add the texture, and then back into Snapseed to mask the texture off of her, back into Image Blender to mask the texture off of her silhouette, and then back into Snapseed for just a little bit of light tuning there, and that was it. So anyway, give it a try. It's really fun. Have someone hold a light under their arm like that and play with silhouettes and see what you get. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on creating.